I got one YouTube video, and it's the cure for sex and porn addiction. I haven't changed it because it is still my truth 13 years later. The cure is the aggressive pursuit of a great life. Anything short of that will fail. It's too difficult a problem to break without you feeling good about yourself, having community, doing all the things that you talk about on your podcast, Andy.
Hello and welcome to Real Men Feel. I'm your host, Andy Grant, here to remind you that being a man is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about feeling them and living your life authentically. Today's guest is someone that has walked through the fire and built a path for others to follow. Craig Perra is a world-renowned expert in overcoming compulsive sexual behaviors, sex addiction, and porn addiction. He's the co-founder of the Mindful Habit System with his wife, Michelle, helping thousands of people from all walks of life take control of their habits and transform their lives. Craig knows firsthand the devastation of addiction and the power of building a system that works when traditional approaches fail. Today, we're going to explore what really drives compulsive behaviors, how shame keeps men stuck, and what it looks like to lead all parts of yourself, especially the ones you hate. If you're looking for a supportive community, check out Authentic AF, my free online community at realmenfeel.org/group. Let's do it. All right, Craig. Hello and welcome to Real Men Feel.
Hey, man, it's good to be here. Thanks, Andy.
So, Craig, I know in a prior life, you were a high-powered attorney. And what forced you to kind of pause and take a look at how you were leading your life?
Yeah, it wasn't a pause. It was the brakes applied abruptly as humanly possible. So, make a long story short, always been really successful professionally. Executive attorney, kept getting bigger and bigger jobs. I got fired from my job back east for telling a stupid white lie to my boss, which you cannot do. You cannot lie in the office of the general counsel or any position of authority, quite frankly. As soon as you lie, your credibility is pretty much shot. And I was let go the next day, but I'm the comeback kid. I had a better job. Now, listen, while all this is happening, Andy, I'm breaking down. So I get a job in California. The company moves me out here. I'm now an executive for a very large insurance company, biggest responsibility that I've ever had in my life. I hated it. I hated the job. I felt I was trapped. I rebelled against that. And oh boy, did I rebel against that. I ended up being hospitalized after trying to hurt myself. I was fired from that job. That firing and that attempt to hurt myself was the big wake-up call for me, because I knew, Andy, that I couldn't keep doing the same things that had been producing that outcome. And I had done, traditional therapy. I had done, meetings, and it's not their fault it didn't work. It's all my fault it didn't work, but I needed something different. And that's what ultimately led me to me talking to you now. But yeah, that was the low point, Andy.
What did you do to take care of yourself that became the foundation for how you now serve other people?
Yeah, great question. And let me be clear, right? Get therapy. I want everyone listening to this to get help, to, have someone in your corner. We can't do it alone, guys. But I found, so when I got out of the inpatient facility, I got an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper prescribing me the things that I needed to do going forward. And for some reason, Andy, I don't know why I expected this, but I expected it to be something different. I had expectations. Like we were finally going to crack the code this time. It was an inpatient facility. It's not the place where, anyway, it was a really, really very, very low point. But I get this prescription for more therapy, more meetings. And I was more depressed at that moment because I'd spent a lifetime in therapy, going back to childhood, peeling away the layers of the onion, the sexual assaults, the physical assaults, the mom and dad and all that, important work. But here I was at my lowest point. So I had this vision that I had to do something differently. And I found a counselor who didn't subscribe to the disease-based model of addiction when it came to compulsive sexual behavior. And this therapist also taught me tools, ultimately hired me. And that's how I ended up where I am today. But it really started at that low point, Andy. I needed something different. What I was doing wasn't working. I was challenging the notion that talking about your problems once a week is going to produce great outcomes. And while I think that that is incredibly important for some people, I needed more, and ultimately I built it. That's what gave birth to the mindful habit system. And 15 years later, still going strong, kicking ass and taking names. But it all started at that low point, realizing that I needed something more.
One thing that I'm amazed in your story is that your relationship with your wife didn't just survive this, it evolved, and you are co-creators of the mindful habit system. Is that right?
Yeah, we are. And we just celebrated my wife's 50th birthday. Literally, we got a friend over here in the other room, and other friends, flew in, and we had an amazing time. She's my business partner, my life partner. She saved my life at my low point, and I'm obviously very grateful for that. But yeah, and you have to thrive, Andy. We teach that. You have to thrive. You cannot come out of sex addiction, porn addiction, mental illness, whatever you want to call it, and be mediocre or be just okay. Just okay wasn't enough for me, although I thought it was, but there I was finding myself back in some of the same holes. So, yeah, your relationship is such an important part of your physical health and mental health. And we teach people that it has to thrive if it's going to survive, and you're going to be happy.
So you mentioned some childhood physical and sexual assault. Do you feel that set you up for sexual challenges and issues as an adult?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, my mother was physically abusive. My therapist called it the worst form of abuse he had ever seen in 17 years. Now, I don't believe that. My mind says that was an act of compassion, because I've been doing this for 13 years and I've seen some pretty horrible stuff. I had food, shelter, clothing, soccer practice, soccer tournaments, wrestling tournaments, Disney World. There was a lot of things that were going right. However, my attitudes towards women, I was first woman gave me up for adoption. I was adopted as an infant. The second woman, despite her best intentions, hurt me. And I got scars all over my hands and arms from that abuse. And what that did was it made me susceptible to the older neighborhood boy who had parents who didn't look after him, had a whole basement to himself, and he had porn and a pool table, a TV, and a Mac. Before people even had Macs, we played Wolfenstein. So the irony is that the place where, and I'd say I was being touched. There was an age difference, but we were, participating in, mutually consensual stuff most of the time. There were a couple of moments that certainly blurred the line because I was younger. But yeah, that's where the secret started, and the shame.
How big a role does shame play in keeping men stuck in kind of any self-destructive behavior they might be in?
I want permission to change this answer later on, but I'll say, Andy, it's the most impactful. It is the most dangerous. It is the most nefarious, because it's not like you did something wrong. It's that you are wrong. Shame and guilt are two different things. Or even, good shame, moral compass, reminded me of who, I don't want to be. That's not what this was. This was a drowning, worthless piece of shit kind of shame that cuts me and my clients to their core, because it's evidence that they are, in fact, not worthy of love, or not worthy of repair, not worthy of grace and forgiveness, which obviously is ridiculously true, but shame is massively impactful.
How do you help clients break free from that weight of shame?
A couple things. Number one, when people start the program, Andy, I want them anchored as quickly as we can to their purpose. Like, why are they here? There's a lot of data that says people who have purpose live longer, healthier lives. And, from a business perspective, it would be preposterous to have a life that wasn't going, the business that didn't have a mission and wasn't going in any particular direction. So one, I want clients anchored to why are they here in the first place? And it better not be just the stop. I want them anchored to why are you doing this? Why do you want to be better? Why do you want to save your marriage? Why do you want to work on yourself? So I want them answering that why question and building on that as we make our way through the program. And that sets up the primary way we help clients manage shame is through a thing called parts work or the internal family systems model. So the internal family systems model is a modern neuroscience supported behavior change modality that reflects the reality that we have inside us these different parts that take over in response to external stimuli. And these parts are in conflict. These parts take over and hijack the system and lead us to do things that we say we don't want to do. But like learning to lead shame and love that part is what happens in the parts work. It helps people instead of, demonizing their shame. The parts work gives people an understanding of where it came from. Why do they feel like a worthless piece of shit? There's always childhood programming around that conditioning and training. But even more importantly than where it came from, that's obviously important, that family of origin, root cause. When you go see a therapist and they're asking you about the past, there's a reason for that. That's the conditioning, that's the training. But more importantly, what the parts work does is it gives you a vehicle to manage shame. It gives you a container that this is the part that I need to lead. I can't get sucked up by the undertow of I'm a worthless piece of crap, I'm a bad person. When that part awakens, right, that's my body's way of telling me I need something. And we teach people to listen and lead those parts versus demonize them, shame them, stuff them down, and ignore them, which happens an awful lot.
What was it about the traditional 12-step model that wasn't working for you and perhaps isn't working for other people?
Yeah. So let me first say that these are amazing communities, amazing fellowships of people at their lowest point where they can go and be seen and get help from someone else. I want to lead with that proposition. If you are lonely and you are dealing with this, go to a meeting. Okay. Now, that being said, Andy, treating compulsive sexual behavior like we treat alcohol is highly controversial. So most people think sex addiction and porn addiction is the prevailing treatment model. It's not. Sex addiction and porn addiction has been rejected by the American Psychiatric Association. They studied it for 5 years and said, we don't think using the alcohol framework is what's going to actually create healthy sexuality, right? The goal isn't sobriety. The goal isn't not doing something. The goal is being happy and having a healthy sex life, whatever that might. So at my low point, Andy, that was part of my awakening when I learned how controversial it was. I had been in treatment for 20 years. I had no idea there was controversy. I had no idea the World Health Organization studied sex addiction and rejected it in favor of a process disorder. I didn't know that the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, the leading group of treatment providers with an expertise in sexual health, say the 12-step model actually causes harm. What? This is what I've been doing for 20 years. So there was a part of me that was angry at that low point, Andy. No one told me this. No one shared with me. How could I be in treatment for 20 years and not one of the therapists say, just so you know, this is an experimental model. It's not supported by forensic evidence. It hasn't double-blind placebos like other treatment protocols have been studied. There was no disclaimer around that. It's not a recognized mental health disorder. And there are valid reasons for that. And so that was the gap that I wanted to fill.
So I've heard you talk about your program as its habit recovery. So how does focusing on habits different from focusing on addiction?
Well, I think there's an overlap. Not to mince words, right? I don't get caught up, Andy, in what you call it, because clearly it's compulsive. Clearly it's addictive. But the solution is not not doing the thing, right? That is one of the most important lessons I want to teach people. The solution is not doing the thing. You must create healthy sexuality. You have to deal with the underlying treatment issues. And at that low point, Andy, sometimes like an expression hits you, like you heard it before, but it hits you. And what hit me at that low point was, in order to break a habit, you have to make a habit. And I learned that in Charles Duhigg's book. And as someone who designed curriculum for a living, when I was an executive, I was responsible for training thousands of people. And I said to myself, if the make a habit part of the equation is most important, because it is the condition that must be met if you are to break a habit. To break a habit, you have to make a habit. So I decided to build a model focused on the make a habit. So making new habits is everything. That's identity change, that's process change, outcome change. It all comes from who you are, what you do, how do you create healthy, how do you counterbalance these forces that started for us in childhood, this escape, this release, this reward. And so when I started focusing on the habits I needed to create versus the habits I needed to break, things changed significantly for me in my recovery.
So I know you worked with a lot of high achievers, executives, celebrities, Olympians. When someone's in the public eye, what added challenges do they have and do you have as a coach to help them?
Yeah. So the added challenge is one of the things that most people don't know what it's like to be a target for women. I ain't a target. I mean, I'm not a target at Target or the supermarket, right? No one's texting me. No one's studying where I'm on vacation, what hotel I'm going to be in. Like some of them are predators. They are absolutely predators. And these are young men. My clients tend to be 30. They're usually towards the middle or to the end of their career. But it's absolutely insane how great they need to be around setting boundaries, because they are constantly being harassed, followed, hotel rooms, restaurants. There are people who know the schedules of the players, know what hotels they stay at, know what restaurants they go to. So that is a ridiculously difficult challenge that most people don't have. In addition to being in the public eye and receiving all that attention, which as guys we love, they're just like us, Andy. There's no, what I mean? They want to be successful. They want to be happy in their lives. They happen to be very good at this sport or this thing. And they're, busted up just like the rest of us. All that attention, all that significance. When they're off stage, they're empty, or they're off the floor. This empty feeling. They're stuck in the hotel room for hours and hours and hours. And what happens? What do men do? They find themselves on social media, and before you know it, someone's inviting themselves over to the room, and there's just a lot of that goes on. So there's a lot of pressure for these guys, pressure that most people don't have, plus the pressure of the public shaming that happens when it goes public. Most of my clients, I've had a few cases that have bled over into the public, Andy, and I'm always behind the scenes, reputation management, working with their publicists and really helping them. My job is to help them. But yeah, it is not that anyone is going to have pity for these guys, but it is harder for them. They're trying hard. They want to be better. The pressure is enormous. And I'm just blessed that I don't have those pressures.
In this day and age, with porn literally everywhere and available at the fingertips on every device that everyone's always carrying with them, how has that changed the landscape for compulsive sexual activity?
It has accelerated it. It has compounded it. It has magnified it. And it is a growing loneliness, shame epidemic in all people. Now, my clients are men, and we're going to talk about men. Andy, I thank God that I did not have AI girlfriends when I was acting out. I thank God that all this sugar baby stuff wasn't as prolific. Like, all these things that are so commonplace now is mind blowing to me. Like, and it's only been 15 years since I stopped doing what I was doing, and the change has been tremendous. It's available on every device. Now it's interactive, and that's creating a whole host of challenges. The AI girlfriend market is currently valued at 3.2 billion, and if memory serves me correctly, they expect it to rise to $28 billion per year that men are going to spend on their AI girlfriends by 2028.
Wow. Man, I knew it was there, but I didn't know it was already that big of a thing.
Yeah, and it's growing. Have you seen any of the ads yet? Have come across your
Yeah, I've
Facebook
seen the
feed?
ads.
Right,
Yeah.
man? Come on.
Hmm.
I feel bad for these guys.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, I'm like you. When I was growing up, like it was a stash of porn in the woods was the big thrill of childhood, and
that's right.
now it's just yeah, it's everywhere. So it becomes meaningless. It becomes there's no such thing as a rarity to it.
The,
I've heard you say,
what I want to say, Andy, though, the impact has been dire.
hmm,
It is great. It is getting worse. Experts believe that high rates of porn consumption have impacted Japan's birth rate. The level of divorce continues to rise. 30 to 40% of women ages 18 to 40 report being slapped, choked, or spit on during intercourse without consent by their partners. So it's not like, oh, is it gonna bleed over? It isn't just bleeding over, it is spilling over. And it's making a stinking mess because we are not wired for this type of technology. Our brains and bodies and hearts aren't wired to see all this pornography. The impact is deep and profound and is destroying families.
yeah. So Craig, if you had the global sweeping power to make a change in regards to porn or technology, what would you do?
I would make it so kids can't see it. Right, like I would do what Australia. Well, Australia has banned social media for kids under 16. When there's a problem in Australia, they seem to respond very quickly with legislation to fix it. That ain't happening here, Andy. It's just not. Like everyone knows, kids are getting exposed at a policy level. I know there are passionate advocates who care, but in terms of industry, they don't care. The quicker you get them, the more you get a customer for life. And I have no doubt that these conversations are being had. We put a man on the moon, we can protect children from pornography. We could have done it. We refused to do it. And now that's where we are. But if I could wave a magic wand, evidence based sexual education training for parents, because if you're not talking to your kid about pleasure, joy, consent, values, morals, pleasure, which is a really hard thing for parents to talk about with their kids, but if you're not doing it, they're learning from porn and they are learning lessons that'll impact them for the rest of their lives negatively.
So I've heard you often say that compulsive behaviors are symptoms of deeper needs. So what are some of those deeper needs that men are not addressing?
Well, they're not taking care of themselves. Right? They're not practicing self-care. They're not able to regulate distress. So porn, when it becomes prolific, is a coping strategy. Men are using it to numb, cope, and escape. It is a release. It is a reward. And it works. Andy, you know the stress that everyone's under now. But look, we're talking about men. So we're going to talk about men. They are under insane amounts of stress. They identify as providers, yet more and more men are unable to fulfill that role because of economic conditions and what's happening in this country. So they're losing that identity as a provider. And where have we as met boys, numb, cope, and escape and find that solace, that freedom, that secret? We had the magazines to go into the woods. The kids now just have this phone, and it is a very effective coping strategy. So they have to learn to regulate their emotions. They have to learn to regulate fear. What do I do when I get stressed, when I get anxious? How do I practice mindfulness? How do I anchor to my purpose? How do I remind myself of who I want to be so I don't have to keep slipping down that rabbit hole? So, yeah, there are a lot of needs that need to be met proactively when clients come to me because they're all being met reactively.
For the partners of men that are struggling with any form of sexual compulsion, what would you like them to know?
Oh, God, this is such a tough question. One, I want them to know it's not your fault. Number one, it's not your fault. These are behaviors that began in childhood. If you asked him how many times he numbed, coped, and escaped using pornography, a guy in his 40s could conceivably be in the thousands, thousands and thousands of times. Number two, while there is debate on what to call it, he really can't help it. He really does not have the capacity to make good decisions over extended periods of times when it comes to sexual health choices when he's been doing what he's been doing for as long as he's been doing it. Don't blame yourself for that. This is a very difficult problem to solve. It started in childhood. It's happened thousands of times. And it's not just doing it, Andy. It's not just doing it. It's the lying about it. In other words, so the men, formerly known as boys, it's not like we just did it, but we didn't do it on the front lawn like we ride our bikes and pull a wheelie and go over a jump. This was something we did in secret. We learned. We have to keep it secret because we can get in trouble. We'll be embarrassed. We'll be shamed. So it's not just the behavior, the lack of the integrity issue here is oftentimes far more significantly impactful than the actual behavior. We've got to address that integrity issue because without it, you're screwed. You're just going to be repeating those same patterns over and over again.
Right. And what does the lying, the covering up, the sneaking around, can that be as addictive and rewarding as whatever the act is?
Yes. Yes. So one of the exercises that we have in the program, Andy, is it's right in the beginning. Instead of asking clients to tell me all of the bad parts about their compulsive sexual behavior, I flip the script and I say, I want you to tell me all of the good parts, all of the positive attributes. Helps me escape, helps me numb, helps me deal with anxiety. It's a release, it's a reward. It's a reward. It's the secret, Andy, the autonomy, the freedom. One of the memes that clients connect with is Gollum from Lord of the Rings. My precious, because it is their precious. It's their secret. It's where they go when they've got nothing else. When they don't know how to deal with whatever they're dealing, whatever strong emotions that they're experiencing, this is my go-to. It's a security blanket. And one of the crazy statements, I'll say it here, not everyone's going to get it, but when clients do, it's like, oh, crap, porn is safe for them. It is a safe place for them to watch what they want, do what they want, fantasize what they want, go wherever they got to go until the release, and then the shame comes, and then the cycle repeats itself again. But a very, very, very effective and impactful coping strategy. It worked too well, which is why we have the problem that we have.
Right. So you've stressed that we all need a healthy sexual expression, and treatment is not I'll never have sex again. When it comes to porn, does there need to be a healthy relationship with porn, or do some people just need never do that again?
Some people need to never do it again. They don't have the ability, nor do they want to create the ability to manage it. It's like there's no healthy place. Well, let me start with, are there couples who use erotica to spice and spruce up their love life? We're not talking about that. We're not talking about fun things that couples are doing with each other. We're talking about the guy in the bathroom, 2 a.m, hoping everybody's asleep in the basement, assuming the position, the hunch position, like the evolution of man. At the end is going to be this position right here, the hunch position with the glow in the face, right? That's what we're talking about, right? And so while some people are able to create a healthy relationship with adult content, most of my clients have gotten to a place where they say, you know what? I find that my life is significantly better not watching other people have sex. And so it isn't, while there may be moral issues that drive that choice, when I find, Andy, it's only the moral issue that's fueling the choice, those guys tend to fail. But for men who come to the conclusion that, yes, I have moral objections to this, I might have religious objections, spiritual objections, and embracing the reality that this is actually self harm.
Right.
I'm corrupting my arousal template. I'm watching things that I ain't going to do in real life. It's not connecting me more with my partner. In fact, it's making me feel worse because I feel shame around what I'm watching. That's typical.
If someone is listening right now and feels trapped in their compulsive behaviors, is there a first step you would recommend that they take today?
Yes, 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 yes. Well, listen, reach out for help. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to, reach out to Andy, guys. Like, do something. Go to a meeting. Do something. And what I want to say to you is welcome to a powerful awakening. Because one, this is a ridiculously difficult habit to break. If anyone tells you otherwise, please run in the other direction. Okay, that's just disingenuous and untrue. The good news is, though, the skills that it takes, self-control, emotional intelligence, integrity, purpose, connection, love, grace, forgiveness, that's a great life, right? The cure is the aggressive pursuit of a great life. So tell somebody, get help, start practicing self care to the best of your ability. And if you need professional help, reach out to someone and get it, because the reality is that the other, here's my cliche, Andy, one of my first YouTube videos, clickbait title. And I've always tried to be ethical and honest in my advertising. I got one YouTube video and it's the cure for sex and porn addiction. Okay. I haven't changed it because it is still my truth 13 years later. The cure is the aggressive pursuit of a great life. Anything short of that will fail. It's too difficult a problem to break without you feeling good about yourself, having community, doing all the things that you talk about on your podcast, Andy. That's the good news, bad news. Bad news is it's difficult. But life is difficult. So if you got to pick one, I'm going to pick great life difficult. So yeah, it's hard. And the other side of this and the skills that it takes to control yourself sexually will change every aspect of your life. It'll anchor you to your purpose. You'll have better friendships. You'll have better relationships. Sexual health is mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. And it took us a long time as a society to figure that out, but we're starting to get it because the consequences are so grave on the addiction side, Andy. Like, this is, ministers, pastors, leaders. We're not wired for this, man. And it's really, really ruining people's lives.
Yeah. Well, I love that line. It doesn't strike me as cliche at all. Besides the aggressive pursuit of a great life, what else would you like men to know?
I like men to know, by prioritizing sexual health, you prioritize physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Like I said earlier, sexual health touches all three. And we live in a society where our sexuality has been cheapened. It has been demeaned. It's used to sell us things. And the sooner that men wake up to how our sexual energy is being exploited, turning us into weak men, the sooner that they're going to awaken and realize that this isn't normal. We are not wired to have AI girlfriends and for OnlyFans. Like, it's not healthy for most people. It's really, really, really ruining people's lives in ways that you and I couldn't even imagine as a kid. But I want everyone to know that your sexual energy is powerful, and with great power comes great responsibility. And you have to treat your sexual energy with that same level of respect, as referenced by Voltaire and Spider-Man. With great
Well, you can't go
power,
wrong following the advice of those two.
that's a win-win.
So, Craig, where can people go to learn more about the Mindful Habit System and connect with you?
Sure. People can visit the website, mindfulhabithelp.com. You can call the number to schedule an appointment to talk to me. You can look at the different programs, and you can check out my podcast, which is Sex Afflictions and Porn Addictions. If you just type in sex addiction, usually it comes right up. So
Awesome. So, Craig, thanks for saving your own life. And now thanks for all the work that you're doing to help other people save their lives too.
well, thanks for having me, Andy. I love chatting with you. I think you're great. And everyone, keep watching and check out Andy's programs, man. This is a great guy here, and I'm really privileged to be on your podcast, Andy. Thank you.
Craig, thank you so much for your honesty, your courage, and the powerful reminder that we are not defined by our worst habits. If you want to learn more about Craig, check out the Mindful Habit System by visiting mindfulhabithelp.com. And if you're ready to take your own growth further, join me in a community of like-minded men who are dedicated to living authentically inside the Authentic AF community. It's free, it's supportive, it's where men can feel real about everything. You can join us at realmenfeel.org/group. And until next time, be good to yourself.